measured by its ability to achieve peace and to maintain it. And that's why the American people are focused on getting this peacekeeping mission, UNMISS, back to basics, to keep the peace, to protect civilians, support humanitarian access, and to be accurate in its reporting to this council. The United States remains deeply concerned that President Kiir's actions are driving South Sudan backward while exploiting international support and obstructing those that are genuinely trying to help. And let's remember who pays the price. It's not the officials sitting in Juba or even those of us sitting in this room. It's the people of South Sudan. It's a mother walking with her children after being ordered to leave her home. It is the aid worker that is stopped and threatened at a checkpoint. It is the girl who should be in school but is instead running from armed men. Who would do God knows what to her if they got the chance? It is the South Sudanese family whose village was burned and whose water was poisoned, wondering why, after independence and that long struggle, after peace agreements, after years and years of UN mandates, that they are still waiting for security. During these negotiations on this mandate renewal, we spent considerable time debating mandate language and operational adjustments, frankly, debating and negotiating around the margins when the core problem is staring us right in the face. The core problem is a host government that actively undermines its commitments to peace and the mission it agreed to accept. Between October of last year and March of this year, UNMISS recorded more than 480 status of forces agreements incidents. What does that mean? That means 480 times peacekeepers were blocked, humanitarian access was denied, repatriation flights were obstructed, bases were forced to close, and millions of dollars were lost and wasted. Mr. President, I'd want to read a few lines from an article about UNMISS that is listed currently on UNMISS's own website. And UNMISS on, and I quote, a collision course. It also noted that many the South Sudanese people view UNMISS as and I again quote, failed institution that has not lived up to its image. Again, this is an article on the UNMISS website. Here's what I want you to remember from that. Colleagues, that article was published in 2014, 11 years ago, quoting the difficulties and describing the difficulties between the host nation and UNMISS, and yet year after year after year, we just roll the mandate over and over and over again, all proclaiming behind closed doors that we can't possibly make changes. Look, that should be shameful to the leadership of South Sudan. It should concern this council, and it should force all of us to ask why the same warnings, the same obstruction, the same suffering, the same excuses from the same leadership keep showing up year after year after year. We all deplore it, we all complain about it, and yet when it comes time to negotiating a renewal, there's this headwind against any type of change. Colleagues, the United States is serious when we say that peacekeeping operations are meant to be a temporary tool to help host governments navigate peace and security crisis, not an endless stream of support for states to exploit and misuse. Peacekeepers should be in places where they can work themselves out of a job. And that's why this mandate matters. For the first time in many years, this council is taking a serious step to streamline UNMISS, cutting capacity building and development activities that allow the transitional government to avoid its own responsibilities and focusing on core peace and security tasks. The mandate includes limited references to elections, but the Secretary General's own reports are clear. Electoral preparations remain minimal to non-existent. Key decisions are still delayed. Funding is missing, and peaceful, credible elections require the outstanding provisions of the 2018 peace agreement to be implemented first, which they haven't been. So if the transitional government truly means to hold free and fair elections, it must first return to genuine dialogue among the parties to that agreement. And genuine dialogue cannot happen while key leaders are imprisoned, including the head of the second largest party to the agreement, who remains under arrest and on trial. Additionally, we shouldn't have foreign taxpayers being asked to fund a political process the transitional government will not fund itself. Future U.S. support for elections, including through the United Nations, will depend on whether South Sudan's leaders put their own public resources behind elections, public services, and government salaries. We are not here to impose a political or ideological model on South Sudan. We are here to demand the basics: peace, responsible use of public revenue, and an end to the abuse of assistance meant for the South Sudanese people. Colleagues, the people of South Sudan have waited long enough, and this council's patience is not infinite. We renew our call on South Sudan's transitional government to honor its commitments and deliver for its people. Thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the representative of the United States for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of United Kingdom.
Thank you, President. The United Kingdom voted in favor of renewing the mandate of the United Nations mission in South Sudan, and we thank the United States for its engagement as penholder. UNMISS remains indispensable. In the context of ongoing instability and humanitarian need, the mission plays a vital role in protecting civilians, facilitating humanitarian access, monitoring and reporting on human rights, and supporting implementation of the revitalized agreement on the resolution of the conflict in South Sudan. The UK therefore welcomes the preservation of these functions within a refreshed mandate that is credible, deliverable, and responsive to conditions on the ground. The UK reiterates the need for an immediate cessation of hostilities and return to inclusive dialogue with the opposition. We are clear that any amendments to the revitalized agreement should be pursued through the agreement's formal mechanisms rather than through unilateral action. It is vital that UNMISS receives full cooperation from the transitional government and enjoys freedom of movement throughout its areas of operations in order to implement its mandate in full. President, the UK remains fully committed to working with the Council, the Secretariat, and UNMISS leadership to ensure the mission can deliver effectively for the people of South Sudan. Thank you.
I thank the representative of United Kingdom for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of France.
Merci, Monsieur le Président.
Thank you, Mr. President. Allow me to congratulate you for the adoption of this resolution that signals the end of your presidency, a presidency that has been active and productive. Mr. President, France welcomes the one-year renewal of UNMISS's mandate, a mission that plays a key role in South Sudan. My delegation would like to thank the mission of the United States for the work carried out throughout the negotiations, and we would also like to welcome the efforts to rationalize the mandate. President, the situation in the country continues to be precarious. It's the least we could say, and the population is facing a dramatic humanitarian crisis. This operation plays a critical stabilizing role due to its mandate on civilian protection. It has our support, and we hope that the conditions that will allow it to strengthen its effective deployment to better implement its mandate will quickly materialize on the ground. The UNMISS deployment supports a political goal to obtain a lasting peace in South Sudan. Despite the current blockages, the revitalized agreement is the only credible peace process. Once again, we call upon the parties to respect their obligations on the basis of this revitalized agreement. Moreover, the transitional government should completely cooperate with UNMISS and avoid any kind of hindrance to the implement of the mandate on the basis of the status of forces agreement. I thank you.
Representative of France for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of Russian Federation.
Mr. President, the Russian Federation abstained on the draft of resolution by the Security Council prepared by the United States on the extension of the mandate of UNMISS. Russia fully supports the activities of the mission and its new head, Ms. Anita Gubeho. The tasks of maintaining stability and security in South Sudan, the peacekeeping component of its mandate, and addressing humanitarian issues remain very relevant, and as we can see, the mission is tackling them successfully. The text of the resolution contains a number of dangerous and, in our view, erroneous messages. Despite numerous comments, the authors nevertheless decided not to move away from rigidly linking the prospects of maintaining the UN peacekeeping presence with some kind of progress by Juba in advancing the political process, protecting civilians, humanitarian access, and human rights. We draw your attention to the fact that the Security Council has not developed any effective indicators in this regard. And the progress in the tasks of facing South Sudan should in no case serve as prescription to cut or draw down on the activities of the blue helmets in the country, not the other way around. We noted the inclusion in the text of an instruction to the Secretary General jointly with the UN military and police leadership to conduct an analysis of peacekeepers' activities and to prepare proposals for adapting their activities to the current realities. Well, unfortunately, the authors denied troop contributing countries the right to participate in the preparation of this document. But what is most disconcerting is that even before the release of these detailed assessments, the text already contains a significant reduction of the peacekeeping contingent. We understand that at present, the number of blue helmets on the ground is below the ceiling. More than that, the mission has just went through a very difficult time and had to cut its numbers because of the liquidity crisis. But the broad mandate of the mission has practically not been reviewed, and all tasks related to the protection of civilians, humanitarian access, human rights, which require an adequate number of personnel, have been kept. Under such conditions, the reduction of the contingent looks illogical and contradictory. The mission must be ready for any scenarios and approach any possible security challenges whilst being fully ready for them. It should have sufficient level of resources for that. Nor should we forget that its main goal in the near term is maintaining a stable situation in the country in the run-up to the nationwide elections planned for the end of the year. And finally, we note once again the tactic chosen by the authors to exert pressure on South Sudan. Instead of emphasizing progress in the political process, the text focuses on the insufficiency of the efforts undertaken by Juba, with the addition to that of criticism and inappropriate alarmism. More than that, the government is even being denied the right to be correctly named in the document. We call on our American colleagues to not abuse the role of the informal penholdership of the South Sudan file so as to push their own course towards the marginalization of the current leadership of South Sudan. The task of the Security Council is to provide friendly assistance to this young nation in building their state institutions rather than in trying to seek and catch Juba out in shortcomings. Constructive cooperation is exactly what is needed now now by the South Sudanese and the UN mission there. I thank you.
I thank the representative of Russian Federation for the statement. I give the floor to the representative of China.
President, the United Nations mission in Sudan has played a crucial role in maintaining peace and stability and advancing the political process in South Sudan.